I'm going to demonstrate the use of the RealItems GraphQL API by running through a few examples. The first thing I'm going to do is query for a particular user using that user's ID. The next thing I'm going to do is query the smart contract for information about the current sponsor. The current sponsor is the user who is paying for transaction costs on the blockchain. So this is showing the address of the current sponsor, the balance that sponsor holds, which is 2,500 VET, and the energy is 199,563 VeThor. The next query I'm going to demonstrate is querying the smart contract for the total supply and the master address. Our smart contract has a total supply of 43 items, and the master user address is here. This query, item by ID, will actually return the item information associated with the item with ID 34. Here's some information about it. Its ID, its obfuscated ID, whether or not it's a durable product, whether it's stolen, whether it's for sale, the product that it's associated with, and the external URL, which is how you would view this product using a browser, the owner, and the approver. This next query will query a particular product using its ID. The next thing I'm going to do is write to the smart contract. This is a mutation that will actually create two new items on the blockchain of type product ID 6. Now this is actually going out to the blockchain and creating two new items. So it's going to take about 10 seconds for the transaction to go through. All right, great. And what has been returned is a transaction receipt for this transaction. The first thing we want to look at is reverted. Reverted is false, which is good because that means that the transaction is successful. Gas used is the amount of VeThor that was burned to push this transaction through. We have the gas payer address. The gas payer is the sponsor address that we saw earlier in one of our earlier queries. And there's some other information here, such as the events that were created during the execution of this transaction and topics. Not going to get into the details of that right now. Okay, so let's query the smart contract to show that two new items were indeed created. So you can see that the total supply is 45, whereas earlier when we queried it, it was 43. So we have indeed created two new items on the blockchain. Let's actually look at one of those items. So we're going to look at item 44. And there is our new item. There are many other things that we can do with the GraphQL API besides just creating and listing new items. We can do things such as looking at the key pairs of particular items. This will actually return the address and private key and PIN associated with a particular item ID. And there are many, many other things that you can do with our API. We've just scratched the surface of everything that you can do, but I hope that this has been educational and you've learned a few things. Thanks.